Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to AfriPost. I hope wherever you're watching us from, you're having a great time. Now, there is always one thing that most whites in the United States have always said towards black people, and this is that they should not complain about slavery or even the harsh conditions of the Jim Crow era, because the generation that we have today did not really suffer from these challenges that happened. And this is something that some people have really taken on another level, because they tell blacks that you do not even deserve reparations because they are not, the current whites are not responsible for the misfortunes that you were subjected to. And therefore, we have nothing to give you. And anybody who claims to be championing for reparations or anything is just somebody who wants blacks to get free money. And I'm always not amused by this kind of notions, because until you go through the history and learn about the sufferings that people went through and the subsequent effect it had on new generations that were coming, only then can you understand why, until today, blacks still suffer the effects of slavery and even harsh segregation laws that were there. So in today's video, I came across a clip here of a social commentator, and he's a black American. He calls himself Bishop the Villain. He has been speaking on a wide array of issues, and today he touched on a topic that I really fancy, and I want us to listen to him on this, then let's share our thoughts later. Let's watch.
I'm going to hit you with a number that is going to fuck with you. Okay? There's me, born in 1971. There are my parents. My dad born in 1928, my mother born in 1936. Their parents, both sides, their parents were born, I ain't even gonna try to front, I don't remember, but their parents were slaves. 4 generations removed. I am 4 generations removed from slavery. Me, my sister, my sisters, my brother. All 5 of us are 4 generations removed from slavery. You know what else? It isn't until I became a social commentator that I realized how many dumbass people in America don't know that. Slavery was so long ago. I'm 4 generations removed from slavery. And if you think that the 2 generations above me did not feel the sting of real racism in this country, you are out of your goddamn mind. You are out of your goddamn mind. All of my family comes from South Carolina. My family originated, both sides originated in South Carolina. South Carolina is a southern state. You don't think that Jim Crow wasn't running rampant in South Carolina? Get the fuck out of here. So the argument of that was so long ago, I'm living proof that it wasn't. I'm living proof. Think about it. Think about it. On my father's side, you go 4 generations back, there is slavery. On my mother's side, you go 4 generations back, there is slavery. So how long ago could it have possibly been? Because slavery didn't end and everything got better. You understand that? Slavery did not end and everything got so considerably better for the people down south. It didn't. There's a reason there was a great migration. Now, nowadays, a lot of people want to argue the political affiliation of slaveholders. I don't have time for that. I don't. I genuinely do not. I don't have a single ounce of time for that. Why? Because it's not about who did it. It's the fact that it was done. It's not about who did it. It's about the fact that it was done. And it was done in such a way that 4 generations later, we still haven't fixed it. I mean, I need you to think about this for just a second. These same racial tropes, these same racial slurs, the same racial attitude that my great-grandfather faced as a kid growing up to be a man, I can hear the same ones. There has been no variation on the theme, like at all. None. No variation. The same N-words that get thrown at me in my DMs are the same N-words my great-grandfather heard walking down the street. The only difference is now there's a huge amount of technology. And that's the only thing that separates the two. So explain to me how we're supposed to just forget that. I told y'all before, Moms for Liberty ain't slick. Daughters of the Confederacy 2.0. They're removing books that make them feel uncomfortable. And what makes them feel uncomfortable? Well, I don't know. Talking about history. I don't give a fuck if you can find a political affiliation of a slave owner. I don't give a fuck if you can find a political affiliation of people who didn't give a fuck about slavery. I don't care. What I do genuinely care about is that now, thanks to hurt feelings, we can't even talk about it. But my black ass is supposed to walk around in this world. I'm supposed to continue to exist in this country, knowing goddamn well there are people going to school board meetings weekly, to get rid of the idea of talking about that. And like I always say, the black people and the Jewish people will get it first. Everybody else will get it afterwards because they're trying to do the same thing to the Holocaust, the exact same thing. And there are people in the same boat I'm in, 4 generations removed from the Holocaust. And they have to sit on their hands, biting their tongue till blood pours down their throat, watching as people say, that makes me uncomfortable, I don't want to talk about it. Do you know this current push to get rid of the Department of Education started with that? It is the Moms for Liberty-ification of all of American education. If you cannot not talk about it, if you cannot find a suitable way to erase it or make it look palatable to certain people, get rid of it. That's why, since Reagan, the only thing a lot of people get from Martin Luther King is one speech. And not even a whole speech. One line from one speech. You equip them with nothing, they will spit nothing out. That's how it works. But what does a guy like me do? What does a guy like me do in this current day and time? Am I not supposed to say anything? Am I not supposed to remind people that I am literally 4 generations removed from slavery? Am I not supposed to do that? Am I supposed to pretend like what my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my father all faced is something that I am still facing to this very day, except instead of it being said to you directly, they're saying it online? Am I supposed to sit still as I watch as America becomes dumber about its own fucking bloody history, while it also tells other countries to get like us? What is a guy like me supposed to do? I just want you to think about that. Me, my brother, my 3 sisters, are 4 generations removed from slavery. Not 5, 4. And we're not the only family that has this. We're not the only people in the black community that have this. We're not the only community that gets this, because once again, they do the same thing to Jewish people. So explain to me, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to handle it? Am I supposed to just sit still, say nothing? Would people like it if I didn't say anything? Because I've been called a race baiter. Here's some race fish bait for you. I am 4 generations removed from slavery. You cannot change that. It's not baiting you to tell you this. What baits you is the fact that you want to argue against it. You would like to change the DNA that flows through in my blood. And you can't. And because you can't, you cannot shut me up. And because you can't shut me up, I have to be baiting you into being your basest instinct, meaning you are channeling the same people that called my great-grandfather the same names you want to call me. And you expect me to say nothing. Make it make sense. Hey, leftists, I want you to understand something. You're going to continue to lose everything as long as you dumbasses keep trying to follow your own fucking tail. Okay? Here is my helping of the leftist cause on how you motherfuckers can actually get your goddamn shit straight, okay? It is literally about human fucking rights, okay? But there has to be a caveat to this shit, okay? Here's the caveat. You start where you are, and then you work your way out. There you go. That's it. There's the secret. Boom. I just fried your fucking mind, didn't I? I just fried your mind. Start where you are, work your way out. Meaning, if there is a marginalized community that is currently under attack, meaning these people need all the fucking help they can get, and they're near you, you fight that battle first. Then you expand. And I don't mean global. Oh, I was working in my community and I'm thinking about global. No. What you start off with is your community. Then you reach out to your general area. You fight those battles. From that general area, you get to your city or town. From your city or town, you then expand to your state. From your state, you expand to other states. That helps you to take down or take on the problems of the nation. Then you deal with the world. And beware fucking false ass prophets. I must say this again because obviously y'all need to hear this one more again. Beware of false fucking prophets. Okay? If they are in it for a bag, do not fucking listen to them. I don't give a shit if they are establishment. I don't give a fuck if they call themselves anti-establishment, but they're still sucking up to fucking billionaires and shit. I'm looking at you, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. Do not fucking fuck with these people. They are false. Because all of the shit that they will tell you is always going to be some extreme form of fucking losing. Every fucking time. Mark my words. There will always be some level of extreme losing. Hey, pick this candidate. They have no fucking chance to win, but you'll make a statement. Statements don't mean shit anymore. They don't. Statements don't mean a motherfucking thing anymore. If your statement isn't concrete, bitch, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. I refuse to be an eternal loser simply because a bunch of motherfuckers want to make some bullshit ass stand. Y'all can stand on these nuts. I'm not having it. Sorry, not going to have it. So what you have to do is be, number one, strategic. Meaning, you know there are problems within your community. Why the fuck are you all the way over here on the outside of America trying to fix some other problems when you can't even handle the problems that are here? Number two, expand. Not globally, expand community, people around, city or town, state, nation, world. Number three, beware of false fucking prophets. Anybody that is telling you that it is perfectly okay to throw away your vote or your support on a losing fucking effort, leave them goddamn people the fuck alone. Here's number 4, and this one is going to be hard for a lot of you leftists, especially you white ones. Learn how to listen and shut the fuck up. Learn how to listen and shut the fuck up. There's a whole lot of white leftists who are out here spewing a bunch of bullshit, trying to lead people into different fucking directions. That is how you lose. That is why you lose. Because you all over here looking for other shit when you should be looking at the shit that's right the fuck in front of you. And if there's somebody that knows better, shut the fuck up and listen. A lot of us have been in these trenches simply by matter of birth, okay? Our fight never ends. Our fight never the fuck ends. It never does, okay? So if you see a black woman activist that is telling you fight against this shit, maybe you should listen. And if you happen to find that in your own community, fight it. Tooth and fucking nail. Don't fight it because the black woman told you to do it. Fight it because you know that's the fight you need to have now as opposed to the fight that you want to have later on. If you see a member of the LGBTQIA plus that is telling you there is rampant homophobia and transphobia and some shit, don't question it. They would fucking know better. Fight it. Okay? Be willing to take instruction. Be willing to take instruction and be willing to follow it. Because the best leaders are the ones that know when to lead and when to follow. A lot of white leftists don't know that shit. They don't. And number 5, and probably the most important one. Number 5, and probably the most important one. Get out of your own way. A lot of you have good intentions for America and the world, but you get in your own fucking way. When you are criticized, you take it personal. You center yourself. When good ideas come up, you get mad because they're not your fucking ideas. You do not know how to be led, and therefore you don't know how to be led and you don't know how to follow. So therefore, you have no room to stand on when it comes to leadership. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You have no goddamn idea. So maybe it's time for you to get out of your own motherfucking way. Take your ego out of this. Take your pride out of this. Take your white privilege out of this. Take it all the fuck out. Learn to sit in a place of uncomfortability. Learn how to become an accomplice rather than an ally. Learn how to confront the things inside of yourself that are the biggest hindrance from you actually making a dent or a difference anyway. Get out of your own fucking way. It is unnecessary for you to keep pretending like your ideas are the best ideas and that's it. Nobody else has any better ideas than you. Sometimes you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sometimes you genuinely really do not know what the fuck you are talking about, and therefore you make an ass out of yourself. You make an ass out of yourself. So maybe it's time for you to stop talking, start listening, and then start confronting the things inside yourself that stops you from ever achieving anything. You take those 5 steps. You genuinely take them. Listen to them. And I guarantee you, you will start to see change. Is it going to be fast? No. It is going to be incremental, but those incremental steps can be big depending on you. White leftists in general and white leftists in particular, y'all are fighting an uphill battle against what's coming. And y'all keep trying to downplay it because you care about somebody else, someplace else. What good is it, your support here for there, if you're not even fixing the shit that's here that's fucking up both here and there? You cannot fight a battle on 2 fronts. And you cannot take the world on yourself. So maybe it's time for you to reassess how you're doing shit. Stop listening to people that have no good mention for you. And start listening to people that genuinely care. My name's Thomas Bishop, and I approve this message.
So that's Thomas the Villian Bishop for you. He has really helped demonstrate how the effects of slavery has reached to the generation that we have today. So this talk of blacks do not deserve reparations or blacks who are living currently did not experience the effects of slavery, this talk should be discarded. So what does research say about this issue? Here's what I found out. The notion that slavery happened many years ago and that black Americans did not suffer under harsh Jim Crow laws ignores the enduring legacy of these systems and their long-lasting impact on African Americans today. This narrative attempts to minimize the historical trauma and systemic inequalities that persist, failing to acknowledge that the past directly shapes the present. First, slavery's legacy, a historical and generational impact. While slavery was officially abolished in the United States in 1865, its effects reverberate through generations. Enslaved Africans were deprived of wealth, education, and basic human rights for centuries, creating a circle of poverty and disenfranchisement that was passed down. When freedom was finally granted, black Americans were left with no resources, land, or support to rebuild their lives. Many were forced into exploitative labor systems like sharecropping, which perpetuated economic subjugation. Further, the abolition of slavery did not erase systemic racism. Instead, it transformed it into new forms, such as segregation and discriminatory laws. The racial wealth gap today is a direct consequence of slavery and post-slavery policies, such as the denial of access to property ownership, practices like redlining and discriminatory lending. A study in 2019 found that the median wealth of white families was almost 10 times greater than that of black families, illustrating how slavery's financial inequalities remain deeply embedded in society. So that has openly explained how slavery has impacted black people's economies and the generations that have come, because we find that at the abolition of slavery, there are those people who were deprived of any source of income. They did not have land. They didn't qualify to be employed anywhere because they didn't have any good education. So they have been left to just fend for themselves through menial jobs. And this has been passed down to generations. So if you find that wealth gap that exists between whites and blacks, it is something that can be traced back to slavery. Second one is harsh Jim Crow laws and the continued effects. The Jim Crow era, which lasted from the late 19th century until the civil rights movement in the 1960s, legally codified racial segregation and discrimination. During this time, black Americans were systematically excluded from quality education, well-paying jobs, and political participation. Poll taxes, literary tests, and outright intimidation effectively stripped black citizens of their voting rights. Public facilities, transportation, and neighborhoods were segregated, relegating black communities to underfunded and impoverished conditions. The impact of Jim Crow did not vanish with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Many black Americans alive today experienced the brutality of segregation firsthand or were raised by parents and grandparents who did it. Moreover, The structures of inequalities established during Jim Crow persist in areas such as policing and criminal justice system and education. The school-to-prison pipeline, mass incarceration, and ongoing disparities in health and housing are all modern iterations of racial inequality that have roots in both slavery and Jim Crow. Therefore, dismissing slavery and Jim Crow as a distant history overlooks the fact that these systems are foundational to systemic racism in the United States. Black Americans continue to face the residual effects of these oppressive structures, which shaped institutions, economic systems, and social hierarchies. History is not as far removed as some suggest. Its consequences are lived daily by millions of African Americans. So that is just what it is. People have been subjected to a lot of challenges, and there is a way through which there is a residual effect of this slavery and Jim Crow rules that happened to be there during those days. So this talk of blacks who are living currently did not go through slavery or something like that needs to be discarded as fast as possible. And let's embrace each other and respect the challenges that some of us have gone through. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.